Hello and welcome to the final on-demand webinar being released this National Scholarships Week 2023. Today I'm sitting in the beautiful London headquarters of Chaucer Group, a leading specialty reinsurance company. And I'm joined today by three wonderful panelists to discuss Chaucer's experience with setting up and running a scholarship program. My guests today are Alison Francis, HR Business Partner for Development, Tracy Cattermole, Senior Class Underwriter, and a very special guest today is the 2021 Chaucer Scholarship recipient, Cassandrah Mgoyo. Guys, thanks so much for being here. How are we doing?
Very good, thank you.
Good. Have to hear it. So as you all know, we're going to dig kind of straight in, and we're going to be talking about scholarships today. Alison, I'm going to start with you, and before we get into anything, can you share a little bit more about what the Chaucer Scholarship is?
So really, we wanted to create an opportunity to give someone higher education opportunities that wouldn't necessarily even think about it as an opportunity. So whether they come from an underprivileged background or this kind of society or family traditions or norms that just didn't even get them to think about that as an opportunity. And so in terms of the programme, it was really to offer a full education support and also work opportunities as well in our market. As supporting them through their whole degree. And at the end of the programme, hopefully they'll learn to love us in terms of a career opportunity, but that was not the be-all and end-all for us. It was really to be part of a scholar's journey to help them financially and non-financially through their programme.
Incredible, and correct me if I'm wrong here, but the scholarship is inclusive of full tuition, as well as living expenses for the 3 years.
Yep.
And obviously the work opportunities, the mentorship that comes alongside it.
Yeah. They get effectively an internship every summer to come in and experience different areas of our business. So whether we can make that related to their studies, so working in kind of our legal departments and underwriting, whatever makes sense, but also getting that opportunity to learn something new and hopefully get them excited about the very exciting London market that we all work in.
Brilliant. And we will come back to that experience and what it was like for you, Cassandra, but I was told just before this that, Tracy, the scholarship was actually your idea. Can you tell me a little bit more how you came up with it and why you wanted to do it and what it means to Chaucer?
Yeah, sure. It's actually one of those conversations you have with old uni friends. Because we were talking about, probably giving away my age now, but we went in a time where we got some kind of grant to help us. And I also went to university in a time where just most people did. It seemed like more the unusual thing if you didn't go. And we were talking and sort of saying, well, if we had the scheme as it is now, because we didn't have fees either, if you had to find all of that, what if your family couldn't help you? Would we have gone? Would we have still made those same decisions to progress academically, or would we have made a different decision? And so many of us in our group were saying, actually, I don't know. I don't know what I would have done. I can't honestly say I definitely would have pursued this because it's the right thing to do. So we said, well, that must be how other people feel now. And that can't be right. That can't be a good thing either for the individuals or for society. You want the brightest and the best to pursue the degrees that suit them and then come into society with their experiences and enrich that society, whatever sector they're in. You don't want university to be the sole preserve of those more affluent people only. So that led on to, we said, what can we do about it? Nothing. Chaucer had an innovation week they do every year. And the innovation team was very proactive, saying to someone, there's no bad ideas, just put them out and help teach you to sort of communicate them. And that's the idea I put forward. And what about, it kind of fits into what we want to do with recruitment as well. Because if we end up fishing in a smaller and smaller pool of diversity, because that might be with only people applying for university, that doesn't suit us either. It doesn't suit any industry, any working sector. So why don't we help someone? And we discussed very early on, didn't we, Alice? And I said, we can't just offer fees. People, like you picked up on that, people were just offering fees, and that doesn't help. It's so expensive, especially now, to just live your life. It's still going to put somebody off. So we need to be able to offer a fully fledged scholarship scheme where you don't need to worry about money. If you are good enough, academically capable enough and have the ambition, you should have the opportunity and the choice to go there.
That's absolutely brilliant, and I think you've touched on a lot there. One of the things that we see, working in the space regularly, as I do, is not only is it more expensive and more complicated. The entire system is more complex. There's more choice on what you can do after school. There are more opportunities out there, but it's about that non-restriction, right? We don't want, apprenticeships. They're out there and they're an excellent solution. And I'm pretty sure Chaucer offers apprenticeships as well.
Absolutely.
But we don't want to see young people who want to study at university have to choose an apprenticeship if they don't want to. Those both pathways should be valid and accessible.
Definitely.
Brilliant. Now, I think it's really clear what students get out of this, and we're going to hear a lot more of Cassandra's personal experience and what she's gained from the platform. But I think it's really important to also understand what Chaucer gets back from doing this. What is the ROI, as it were? What are the benefits that you see? So I'll let whoever wants to take it, but what benefits do you see from running this sort of program?
I mean, there's just so many, really. I mean, actually, we're very lucky here at Chaucer that the board are not looking for a very hard and fast ROI. It is more about creating those opportunity in our local community or beyond, around those from an underprivileged background, and just having that opportunity to come into a new environment and to learn new skills, and hopefully to set them up with really good career opportunities at the end of their degree as well, because employability is obviously a big factor of that. But to give them some life skills and business skills and things that are not necessarily covered as part of a university or school kind of education. Of course, selfishly, we have a very kind of well thought out ESG policy, and social mobility and all of the work that we do with our sponsored charities are a big part of that. So on a formal basis, the scholarship program is a formal program that we support, but we actually do a lot informally in our DE&I work and kind of social mobility, the kind of S element of ESG. We have inclusive hiring training that we roll out for all of our managers to ensure that we really are thinking about our DE&I stats and making sure that we're not kind of going to those recommended or referred in our market, because traditionally, as to Tracy's point, we were kind of just fishing in a kind of a very kind of narrow pool. But this opportunity is not only advertising kind of Chaucer as a company, but our whole marketplace as an opportunity for students to think about, because we often say in the market is kind of the secret of the city, the London market, and I don't think teachers and tutors at college really talk about our industry, and it is something that should be spoken about more. But of course, the more kind of diverse candidates and backgrounds that we can get into our market, of course we want to create those opportunities. But selfishly, at the end of the program, to my earlier point, we're not looking for someone who wants to be an underwriter. If that happens quite naturally, because we can get the likes of Cassandra excited about underwriting, then that's a silver lining, but it's not kind of the ultimate goal.
Yeah, and we hear so much right now about the benefits of boomerang hires, people coming, leaving, coming back. This is almost pre-boomerang. This is how we start them without even a full-time job, allow them to go into the marketplace they may never have entered, gain that experience, and then maybe come back incredibly experienced and, hopefully appreciative, we'll see, of the scholarship opportunity. Brilliant. And so I'm going to quickly cover off a couple of acronyms that you mentioned, just for the layman if they're not unfamiliar. So D&I, we've got diversity and inclusion, sometimes also DE&I, diversity, equity, and inclusion. We had ESG in there, so environmental, social, and governance. Big one, of course, in the financial services industry in particular, but across business now. So I do want to kind of hone in on that DE&I point there, and I want to know a bit more about how you view the scholarship's impact on DE&I. Obviously, you've got strategies in place, you've got inclusive hiring, you've got training for your managers, but what is the impact that a scholarship program can have on an overarching business DE&I strategy?
I mean, in terms of kind of, at an individual level, it's not only benefit, the individual, but it's about that kind of family, that network, that community, and helping to get the word out there in terms of that, bigger social mobility and community piece of someone that just doesn't necessarily think university is even an option for them, because they might get laughed at. I mean, I come from a very working class background, and I didn't go to university when I first finished school because of my family norms. And it was, you went out and worked every day, and you earned your crust, and that's how you kind of developed your career. And I decided to go to university quite late on, and I was laughed at across the dinner table. It wasn't something in my family norm that was expected, and I was the first gen student in terms of that opportunity. So it's also getting people to really think about those families and those cultures that don't necessarily support higher education as well, and that actually if a company is going to be part of that journey, like Chaucer, that's what we're really invested in. We want to be part of something bigger. It's not just about kind of putting some money aside for someone to study, because actually they could go and get a student loan in terms of the fees, quite frankly, but it's being about something bigger than that. And Cassandra's obviously got some very big ambitions, and we want to be part of that, and we want to support her, and we want to give her every opportunity to achieve those ambitions.
Brilliant.
And then to play on what you just said as well, we see internally that people who might not have had a chance to speak to people like Cassandra before, because they come from a different background. If they do come from that background, they're lucky enough to, it's not their fault. They may have only ever moved in circles that didn't touch upon people from different socio-economic backgrounds. It can only enrich their life experience to talk to people like Cassandra, to talk to the life experience that she's had in comparison to them, and for them to go forwards with new ideas and new ways of thinking.
It is really fully a community benefit to everybody involved. Yeah, I completely agree. Now, Cassandra, you're the star of the show here. You're the reason that we're all here, let's be honest. So I'm going to shift over to you, and I want to learn a little bit more about your experience. Now, one of the first questions that I think is really important to kind of lay the framework here is, how much did you know about insurance before you heard about this scholarship?
I knew absolutely nothing. I knew absolutely nothing. And when I came across the scholarship, I actually had to look up what it actually was about, what Chaucer was, because I knew nothing. And actually a lot of people don't, because there wasn't really anybody I could actually ask or I knew about it. So I really didn't know much. But I actually learned a lot about it during the application process, because first when you come across it, you would actually go and look up what it actually is. But during the application process, I think there was an essay, like short essays to do, and one of them was about the insurance industry, and I think it was about its effect, COVID, how COVID was going to affect it. So I actually had to look up the insurance industry, and then how COVID would affect the insurance industry. So it brought a lot of insight. There was a lot I actually learned just from, honestly, the first bit of the application process. So yeah, I came from knowing nothing and knowing quite a bit just by applying. So yeah.
That's brilliant. Yeah, I mean, I have to say, and Alison touched on this, it's kind of, the little black box here in London, and even having worked in the city, it's not something that I wouldn't say I'm well versed in. So I completely hear you, and that resonates with me for sure. The other kind of foundational piece here is, what were your thoughts about university before the scholarship came into your life? I'm sure you were interested in going, that's why you were exploring it, but tell us a little bit more about what that kind of time in your life was like.
I always wanted to go to university. It's something I always wanted to do. I was looking forward to. It was actually a time in my life where I was facing not being able to go. It was really tough because I always looked forward to it, and my family were really hoping I would be able to, and I just got to the point where I was facing not being able to go, and it was honestly crushing. I was going to see all my friends do something that all of us wanted to do, and I was facing being left behind, and I didn't know what my life was going to look like, really, if I didn't go, because there was nothing else I really wanted to do. I didn't really plan doing anything else, so that time was really hard for me. Me and my family were really praying and just really hoping for a miracle. We were literally sitting and hoping for a miracle. That's the time in life I was in. Yeah.
Well, I really appreciate you sharing that with us, but I would say it doesn't sound like you were just sitting and hoping, because you went out and you did something about it, and you made an application, and you found your way through it, so you made it happen. I think, together you all made it happen, which is fantastic. So tell us a little bit more about the benefits that you've actually seen from the scholarship and what you've gotten out of it, aside from, of course, the financial support, but What else have you received as part of this?
So really the ability to go to university to begin with, which was just life-changing for me. And I got a lot of support. Because it's one thing to go to university, but going without just knowledge of what you're really getting into is a lot. And I managed to get a lot of support from Alison and my mentor Shirley, and I got a lot of experience with the internship, which is amazing because students literally look for these things. You know, when you actually go to university, you're looking for experience when summer comes, and you're looking for so much to actually get experience, because you know it's not just enough to have a degree, you need a lot more. And so honestly, having the experience alongside that and the support from my mentor and Alison was so helpful beyond my degree. Like, they helped me with so much, and I know I can come to them with so many things. So it's just, I've had a lot of support, and yeah, the experience has been amazing in my internship. So yeah.
That's excellent. Now, Alison, I actually want to take a quick shift back to you, because something that Cassandra and I were talking about before we started recording was all of the added benefit that university brings. It's not just about the degree. It's not just about, you know, that outcome. There's so much more that's wrapped into it. And of course, Chaucer offers apprenticeships, which is another style of learning and work experience at the same time. But I'd love to hear a little bit more on your view on why do both things matter? Because I think they do, but I'd love to hear from your perspective what that means for business.
I mean, apprenticeships are a way of creating an early career pathway in terms of those that are either leaving school or leaving their A-levels or equivalents in terms of colleges. But the scholarship is just so much more. I mean, Cassandra has this effect on me that sometimes she can just get the tears flowing, because actually what Cassandra's not mentioned so far is that she had, if it's okay to say, quite a tough background and upbringing in terms of her family dynamics. And just from my point of view, to be, you know, given this opportunity to really feel rewarded in my day-to-day role and helping someone like Cassandra achieve her dreams and achieve those ambitions, it's much bigger than me, it's much bigger than HR, Chaucer, the insurance market. This is life-changing opportunities for communities, for families, for individuals. And you know, Cassandra came from a care leaver background, and you know, there's a horrible stat that we spoke about in Cassandra's assessment of it was it something like 4% of care leavers end up going to university, and if they do, they end up dropping out at some point towards the end. So, you know, actually I had to educate myself because I had never come into contact in my, you know, I wouldn't say I have a privileged life, but certainly not had to experience those things that Cassandra had. So I had to look at, well, how does the care system work in this country? Because I had no idea, absolutely no idea. And I was horrified by some of the things that Cassandra's spoken to me about. But that has driven her ambitions to actually go and study law, because she wants to make a difference in this system in the UK. And I can't wait to see what she ends up doing. And, you know, if we're part of that or not, I just feel so privileged that I've got to know Cassandra and be part of that journey.
That's incredible. And Cassandra, I want to give you kind of a chance to respond to that and maybe share a little bit more of, you know, the added benefit that just being at university has given to you. Like, remove Chaucer from the equation, remove the support and all that, but like, what has university brought to you that you may not have gotten if you hadn't attended?
I would say it's going to be, I don't know if this is the word, but it actually allowed me to see a lot of myself outside of kind of, I want to say, the life I was already in. So obviously, like, I was in care, and I had my foster family, and I had my actual birth family, and I had it was a very weird dynamic. But when I got to university, it was just me and kind of like looking at my world. So I really was able to actually think a lot about what I wanted to do for my life, and it kind of brought perspective into my life, like about what I want to do for my future. So I think university, it allowed me to really look at my life and actually think about what I want and who I am. And yeah, it really, I think, yeah, just brought a lot of perspective into my anything else that I may have had going on in my life before, and just focus on making things change, really, and that I have the ability to do that. Yeah.
That's amazing, and thank you again for sharing that experience with us. Before taping, Cassandra told me that she's entered her painting era, which I'm very excited to learn more about post-taping, and seeing you explore not just law, not just insurance, but art and yourself and everything else that comes with it. So that's really, really incredible. One more question, and then I think I'm going to open it up to the group. But this one's specifically for you, Cassandra, and that's, what's the highlight of the scholarship been for you thus far?
I would say the highlight was the internship.
Yeah.
The internship was a whole new experience for me. I feel like I actually got a taste of the working life, 9 to 5, and it was amazing because I actually got to work in this amazing environment, and everybody I met was absolutely amazing. I worked with Tracy, and she was amazing. She kind of oversaw everything I was doing, and it was lovely. Everybody I kind of talked to was just friendly, encouraging. They were so happy to talk about their role at Chaucer. And we had other interns that actually were here this summer, and they were amazing. We became friends. We were actually going to see each other at some point, during towards the end of this academic year. So it's been amazing. Like, now I have things I've taken away from that. It was an amazing experience. It was lovely. I worked in the energy team actually, and it was a really good insight and more into insurance.
Cool. And Tracy, I want to give you a moment to respond to that. Obviously, working so closely with Cassandra during that time, what benefits did you see from that experience?
It was, what Cassandra hasn't told you was very much a baptism of fire. Especially when we interns, we had a project going on, didn't we, Alison? And it was a really, really tight deadline. Okay. And I think it must have been such a shocking experience for some people that never worked in that kind of environment before. But they all did absolutely brilliantly, because it's again a different experience from university, which has a different type of deadline, and having to work with other people, and you can't do this without someone else having that, and then you don't know, suddenly we're saying, we know you guys don't know anything about insurance, anything about energy, anything about political risk, which was another point you were asked to do, but could you do this, this and this and this? And they all absolutely met the deadlines. I mean, to learn something new in that short period of time, remember it's under 3 months, right? Yeah. So to fulfill the project so the company could carry on, so it was actual real work that benefited the company. Absolutely superb, and I thought they all handled it brilliantly, because there's a lot of people with that kind of sink and swim environment that would have just said, I don't think I'm going to handle this well, but yeah, absolutely brilliantly, Cassandra and those interns did.
That's amazing. So I've got one final question, and I think it's important to hear each of your voices on this particular question, and that is for our student audience, those who are going out and trying to find scholarships, trying to open that door for themselves and find that opportunity. Do you have any advice that you would give them if they're applying to opportunities like this?
I mean, just go for it. What have you got to lose at the end of the day? And you could end up learning about a whole new place in the country and a new industry like Cassandra has, that you just never thought about as a career, or kind of even existed as an industry in the country. So yeah, just go for it. Do your research. Obviously, think about the company that you are applying for, and perhaps some of the key skills that they're going to be looking for. Although there was no sort of technical assessment as part of not having to know about insurance when they applied. Cassandra's kind of alluded to, but we had a couple of very kind of short paragraph questions to help understand more about them and their passions and what they're looking for, and is that something that we want to support or be part of. So it's just very much being your authentic self, I think, is incredibly important, especially with a scholarship program, because it's so much more than the working environment and the working relationship that Cassandra and I have. It's very much on a personal rapport building level, so your heart's got to be in it, right?
Tracy, what do you think?
I would say the key is don't give up. So if you apply to scholarships and you don't get through, it's not the end of your journey.
Yeah.
It might mean you don't go that year, but like Alison's experience, you could go out to work for a bit, but don't think that's the end of the journey. Keep going for it, keep following your dreams. You can make it happen, and you can do other things in the meantime to attract companies, and you've got that bit more experience perhaps if you went somewhere to work for a year or two, and then apply again. Just keep doing it. Don't give up.
Yeah. And I will say, before we get to Cassandra, shameless plug for Blackbullion. There are loads of scholarships now being open on the platform, more and more businesses coming to support young people. So make sure you do your search and apply to as many as you can. Cassandra, we'll close off with your advice, which might be the most crucial advice of all. What would you tell to students who are maybe in a similar place to you were a few years ago?
I would say to just apply. Honestly, I would say to just go for it, because I actually had somebody who came into my life and actually was like, you should look for the scholarships and help support me in that. And I was honestly so happy I did, because it completely changed my life. And that was just because I applied. And I think some people have the fear of not getting in and getting the actual scholarship, and so they actually decide not to do it. But just by applying, I learned so much, and I learned so much about the insurance industry and a potential career path for me that I didn't even know was going to be possible for me. And so I would say just do it, just go for it. You might get it and you might not, but at the same time you learn so much, there's so much to gain from it. So I would just say to do it, to go for it.
And you're definitely not going to get it unless you apply, right?
Yeah, of course.
You gotta go for
Exactly.
it. Absolutely. Well, we should say Chaucer's 2023 scholarship will be open as of this webinar being released to the market. So please, any students watching this, if you're interested, check it out on Blackbullion. You can find the application link straight through there. And I know these guys would love to have you.
Absolutely, and my personal email will also be advertised, so if anybody wants to reach out to me and just chat to me about any questions or clarifications that they might need as part of that process, really, really happy to chat to them and spend a bit of time with those. So yeah, just don't rule yourself out, just go for it.
It's a fantastic offer.
And we're very lucky, this is the third year that we're rolling out this programme, and really excited to have all of our scholars and interns back in this summer.
Yeah, brilliant. I would like to thank each of you for your time. I would like to thank each of you for the effort that you've put into building this really, really important program. I'd like to thank Chaucer for supporting it, and I know that you guys have executive support, which is incredible. So thank you one more time, and best of luck with reviewing this year's applicants. Should be an exciting journey.
Thanks, John. Thank you
Cheers.
very much.
And thank you all for watching. I hope you've had a wonderful National Scholarships Week 2023. Come back and join us in 2024 when hopefully we do it even bigger and better. Thanks again.